If you're actively seeking ways to build your mental toughness, navigate life transitions with grace, or simply find inspiration to keep moving forward, then you're in the right place. Welcome to the Art of Beautiful Thinking podcast. Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Art of Beautiful Thinking podcast. My name is Yvette, and I'm here with my co-host, Cat. In today's session, we're actually going to cover all about basically stepping through fear and moving into the unknown. And what does that feel like? And what are some of the things that come up when we actually are wanting to move towards a goal, or even say walk away from a part of our life that is no longer serving us? It is a big ask sometimes, and also the fears and doubts that tend to creep in to prevent us from actually doing what it is that we want to be really doing. That's, pulling in our heart. So, So, Kat, any thoughts on it?
Well, actually, I have a wonderful, my best friend that I've known since I was in school, the lady that does all the beautiful paintings behind me. She's just been an incredible artist her entire life. And she's moved to Tasmania about a year ago. And recently she's been sort of really soul searching and going, I feel so called to do art as my work. I'm just not getting the commercial success I need to do, whatever it is to support myself. So she's been questioning that a lot and really just putting it like one foot in front of the other, really slogging. So she's got another job to support her lifestyle, but really trying to get out there. She's been doing courses in business management and understanding how she can, get her art out on social media. She set up new websites. She started creating a lot more art. She did an exhibition. She's joined like the local art gallery, and she's just trying to get those contacts out there. So she's doing all the things you could possibly ask a person to do to become successful at this stuff. Anyway, I've really noticed it in her. She's been really like, oh my God, maybe this isn't who I am. Maybe this isn't what I'm supposed to be doing. Maybe my love of art now is just a hobby. And it was interesting because after we had our podcast the other day where you say, don't say I want, this is what I want, say this is who I am. So we had a conversation about that the other day, and I was saying, well, you are an artist. You already are an artist. You've been an artist your whole life. So I think she was quite close to just sort of throwing in the towel and giving up. And the fear of not getting any recognition or not being able to survive on her artwork is something else that's what happens, isn't it? We have these dreams and then the world kind of pushes down on us bit by bit by bit. So sometimes we feel a bit crushed when things aren't going our way. Anyway, a couple of days later, she's entered into she sent a tender through to the local council here. They're asking for someone to paint a big mural in town. So they got everybody to send through tenders with like their concept, what of the artwork is that they were going to do, what the whole thinking is behind it, and a few colours and swatches and things. And she got an email, and it's like a big fat grant, like to do this work. It's going to be amazing. She got an email saying, congratulations, you've won it.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
And I'm so pleased for her because from now until December, she's going to be working on this mural. And it's an amazing concept. Like we've been talking about it, what she's going to do. It's so clever. It's so funny. It's so awesome. And I said, just think, well, after you and I are long gone, that mural is going to be sitting there in town and people are going to be driving past and talking about it. There's a lot of tourism that goes through there too. I said, your art is going to touch everyone forever.
Now, isn't it interesting though, when you have a shift, like that's all you need is a shift within your mindset.
Yeah.
And as soon as you have that shift, things seem to fall into place.
Falling into place.
It goes back to, we talk about, you hear about the law of attraction and things like that. And we've spoken about this previously, the frequency that you're putting off. I look at it as cause and effect. That's what I refer to it as. And it really is, how are you being about what it is that, you believe you're here to do, or even still what it is that you're trying to achieve. Do you may believe it. You may believe in your art, for like if we're using the art as an example, you may believe in your art. You know that you're an artist, but do you expect to be successful at it?
That's the discussion.
And if you don't expect to be successful at it, even though you may want to be successful, but if you don't expect it, and then the fear of, that fear when you go, I can't do this because where's my income going to come? I haven't got consistent income coming in. I need to have this income. And we look at our current environment and we allow it to dictate to us
Yeah.
whether
Yeah.
we can or cannot do something. And we
That's
allow
right.
fear, which is generating a story around our current environment, to dictate to us whether we can or cannot do something about it.
And it makes
When
us give up. Yeah.
it does. And
Mm.
you just want to go, oh, and you freak out. And I mean, I've been there multiple times in my life where
Same.
I've done that. It's taken me a long time to get to a point. I mean, I still have fear that pops up, but I
Yeah,
try
of
to
course.
calm it, I calm it
Mm.
quicker than I used to.
Yeah, yeah.
It has, I believe that it has if we talk about you're on the driver's seat, okay, and you've got a purpose in life, which is also meant to be in the driver's seat, and it's meant to be driving you through life.
Yeah.
And instead, what you've actually done is allowed your fear and your self-doubt and all of those
Yeah.
other thoughts around insecurities to be the driver rather
Yeah.
than your purpose.
Yep.
And if you just allow your purpose or what you feel you're here to do, or as said, the goal that you're trying to achieve, be the driver,
Yep.
and all you focus on is that with belief and expectation
That's
and a
right.
knowing, you don't have to know how it's going to come together, but
No.
just knowing that it is going to come together,
Mm.
things just start to fall into place.
Those powerful mindset shifts that you're talking about, it's so true, because this is evidence that I saw. And, she and I was sitting on the couch the other night before she got the news, and I said, you keep sort of saying, I need my art to be the thing. I want my art to do this, and I want to become a successful artist. I said, you already are a successful artist. You're really, really good at art. You already are. And she said, that's what I've realized. This is what she realized. She said, I'm at the point where I go, actually, I'm an artist. I was born to do art, because she has an incredible talent. We used to sit up the back of maths when we're supposed to be doing maths and draw horses, and mine would look like a little shitty stick donkey, and hers was like a fucking work of art. It was incredible, and I mean, so she was born to do art. She was just
Yep.
drawing since the time she could hold a pencil. There are some people
Yep.
out there that are just really super talented, and she's one of those people. She used to believe that people could only succeed at art if they had loads of connections, and there's an elite group of people that just do art, and that they're the ones that get the
Yeah.
big dollars and all the rest of it.
Yeah.
And sure, there's nepotism and cronyism in every industry, isn't there? I mean, there is. Let's be honest. But like you're saying, if you have a purpose, and you don't have to, the other thing that I think we tend to do is we go, oh, well, I've either got to stick in my shitty job that I hate, or I'm going to be on the dole or die in my car from starvation.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's a
you
big
don't have
fear
to do
narrative.
either one of those, and again, we're talking about, making a living, right?
Yes.
It doesn't necessarily have to be anything around making a living. That's just one aspect. We
Yeah.
do tend to, we are living in a society that does require us to have finances come in order
Yeah.
to survive.
Yep.
We can barter to a point, but it's mostly money. We need money.
Yeah.
And hence we do have a tendency to look at a purpose aligned to a financial end, because that's just how our society is set up. But it
You
doesn't
can't
have to
eat good
be that.
intentions.
Yeah. But how I look at it too is, well, why not? Because same sort of thing where you have throughout, I suppose, again, programming, there's
Yeah.
always the struggling artist. If you're
Yep.
creative, you're always struggling. And that's not the case. There are lots of artists out there and creatives who are doing really, really well, 6-figure,
Yeah.
7-figure incomes. And if they can do it,
Yeah.
you can do it.
That's
And the
right.
thing about it is, it's not about necessarily doing it the way that they did it. You've got to look at it and go, well, what was their mindset? Because that's
Yeah.
all it is.
Yeah.
It's what was the different mindset that they had
Mm-hmm.
that I don't have?
Yep.
What's the belief and expectation that they have that I may not be clear on? And
Yeah.
get really clear on it. Because once
Yep.
you're clear on it, then you're going to start seeing change in your life.
Do you think it's a fair statement? Because I'm only saying this from my own life experience, and I know you and I have had a lot of similar experiences. But for me, I've always found that just as I get to the point where I'm thinking, oh my God, I'm out of options, my back's against the wall, and I've got nothing left. Like there's in this for, and when I say that, I don't mean I'm about to become homeless. I mean sort of, I no longer can work in this industry. There's this issue going on, or I'm completely sick of this role. I need to retrain, or whatever it is that you've got to do, or the relationship I'm in is not working. I'm stuck. I'm trapped. That mindset of I can't make any changes. I'm too afraid. I really hate what I've got and how things are, but I'm too afraid to get out of it. So whenever I've been in that situation, I've always found that there's an answer. There's always another option. It just means that I haven't discovered it yet. Do you think that's true?
Yeah, absolutely. I
Mm,
think that when we are in a situation that is not necessarily healthy for us, or uh, that particular event or person has had their
yeah.
time in our life, and we
Yeah.
need to move on, because
Yep.
it is about, we are evolving, we are growing. We've spoken about this before. And when
Mm,
you feel as if you're stuck, you're no longer kind of really growing. And that's part of the, I think that's part of
yeah.
the concern. You get this internal pull to get out of it, but then
Mm,
your fear and your doubts hold you in that place, because you think, well,
yeah.
I mean, if we look at it from a job perspective, and I've seen this plenty of time with people in the workforce who have been in a job for a while, um, and they really don't like it anymore. They want to move on,
Mm,
but they think they're not good enough to do anything else. They're not smart enough to do something else,
yeah.
and they kind of go, well, I might as well stay here because I'm going to get that consistent
Yeah.
salary. And if I go somewhere else, it may not be good. It may be worse than this.
Do you know how
Now,
many people I see doing that? That always blows my mind. I see so many people who have the Sunday night horrors, and then but they're too scared. They're
yeah,
too scared, and they go, "It's just as bad as this everywhere. It won't be any better anywhere else." Or I'm just, that it's fear. It's a fear narrative.
it is a fear
False,
narrative.
false evidence appearing real.
Appearing, get correct. And it's funny because I look at it and I go, because I was one of those people, I look at it and I go, well, when I was going through it, for me, it was about recognizing that I couldn't be in the corporate world anymore.
No.
Even though I at first was going, okay, well, it's obviously the role. I'm no longer interested in the role.
Mhm.
I need to move into something else that's going to be challenging and more, exciting, etc., what have you.
Yep.
And then I would go off, and if I needed to reskill myself, I'd go reskill myself, and then I'd go move into change my
Mm.
career path, for instance.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I did that several times until I realized that I just didn't want to work for other people. That's
I'm not
actually
built.
what it was.
I'm not built for
Um,
working for other people. I'm
yeah,
not
that
built for
that's all it
working in
was for
those
me, was I
systems.
really didn't wanna work for other people.
No.
Um, I just wanted to work for myself, and I kept
Mm.
putting myself in this box of, "Oh, but I'm not smart enough to go work
Oh
for
god.
myself.
No, you're definitely smart now.
And what if it doesn't
Yeah.
work out?" You know? What
Mm.
if, I get in there and I fail? What then? What if it fails
Yeah.
and I have to go back to a job, and I don't wanna go back to a job? How can I guarantee that this is going to work for me? Even though everything in me was screaming at me to do my own thing.
Yeah.
And I started getting very unwell. I started suffering from
Mm.
migraines. I
Mm.
would, on a Sunday night, like a lot of people probably do, go, "Oh, I really don't want to go to work tomorrow."
Oh my
I don't
god.
want out. And even when I was working around really good people,
Mm,
it,
mm, mm.
I'd go, okay, just, you get yourself, you force yourself out of bed. Now,
Yeah.
if you can force yourself to go and do something that you fucking don't want to do,
Yep.
seriously,
Imagine what you
why
can
can't
do
you
when you
force
love
yourself to
something.
do something you really want to do? Yeah. And it's not
Yes.
necessarily about going, well, I'm going to quit this today and start that tomorrow. Be
Yeah.
smart about it, like, plan it. Look what you've got to do to step into it. Start researching it,
Yep.
figure it out. If it
Yep.
is a career change, then look at that and go, well, what is it that I want to do? In fact, on our website, we've got a career change document that you can go through, like a
Yeah.
checklist, to
Yeah.
help you figure out what it is that you want to do and
Mm.
help you map it. So and that's really what it is looking at it going, what is it that I want to do?
Yeah.
What's that new thing that's pulling at me? And
Mm.
then take those little steps initially to make those changes. Investigate it, research it. Yeah. Figure out, is this really what I want to do? Set yourself a plan and then start working towards it.
And even, like I was saying to my friend Tammy, she's taken on fairly kind of, not very difficult roles, like just very basic sort of roles that she's doing, but it gives her the headspace to, focus on her art, think about her
Yeah.
concepts, think about that's her main drive, right? So she's
Mhm.
lucky enough to have a good stable job that she can do from a very lovely lady. But she, yeah, it's not like, for example, when you're working in government roles and things that I've worked in, there's a shitload of paperwork. There's a shitload of thinking about how things are going. You've really got to be a million miles an hour. Similarly to you with corporate work, your brain, by the time you get home, is fried, isn't it? A lot of the time. So
Oh, totally. And you don't have the necessary huge brain power. But the funny thing is, and again, this has been my experience, as soon as you let go of trying to control it and trying to control yourself staying in an environment that you don't want to be in, and go, okay, let's just research and investigate what the possibilities could be if I walk away from this. And if I plan it and go, I'll give myself 6 months to walk away, or
yes,
it doesn't really matter. Just
recently happened to
do
me.
a little bit of research.
Yeah.
You actually find that you get the energy to do the thing.
And the things will pop into your lap. Like I've just experienced this recently when I was doing the AOBT handbook. I started working through that process going, okay, what is it that I really want to do? Knowing that I wanted to do the podcast with you, thinking I should still be working full time whilst I did that. And the kind of messages that, if you're tuned in and you're listening, the messages that you'll be getting are, this isn't sustainable, or, you need to let this go, or take a leap out in faith. And that's what I've done. And then other things came in that I didn't even anticipate. All good. That's kind of funny how it works. It's funny how it works.
It's support. Things will happen to support you once you actually make the decision.
Yeah, opportunities
Once you
will
make the
suddenly land in
decision,
your lap.
and it is a clear decision. Because when you are in that space of, again, forcing yourself to stay in an environment that you don't want to be in, and you are doubting and fearing moving away from that, then the message that you are sending out to infinite intelligence, the universe, whatever you want to refer to it as, becomes a very confusing message.
Yes, it does.
And you end up being basically in a state of confusion all the time.
I've been there. I've been there for a really, really long time, the last few years. And that's exactly what it is. You're like, oh, on the one hand, I really want to make this change. On the other hand, I'm too scared. I just can't. It would never work for me. Why would it work for me? So silly. I've done it before. I can do it again. It is a fear-based thing, like freaking out and worrying about things. And I actually did go, fuck it. I'm going to give it a go and see what happens. And if I fail, then I will try something else.
Yeah.
See, that's the other thing that we do. Our expectation needs to be that I will succeed, but we've also got to have reasonable expectations. You're not going to just walk out of one job, give it the ass, and then just suddenly step into the job of your dreams. That doesn't happen. You could walk out of one job and go, look, I can't do this. It is just weighing on me too heavily. It is too hard. It's taking too much of my energy. But then you plan, like you're saying, you research, you plan, you think about what you're going to do. You might have to go to 3 different places and try for work, or it might take you. Sometimes some of the best things that have ever happened to me have been my failures.
Yeah.
I have failed so badly because sometimes I'm stubborn and I need to hear that message again and again. You don't belong here. You don't belong here. Will you stop throwing yourself into the arms of fools? Stop it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So sometimes, and I think we're all afraid of failure, aren't we? We're all afraid of failure.
It's constantly, and you can sometimes even look at that. Like when I was moving about in the corporate world and changing, my career all the time in the corporate space, like I was looking at it going, why does this keep happening to me? Why am I always so dissatisfied? Why, and I'm going, there's something really innately wrong with me.
Yeah, what am I doing wrong?
Yeah, what am I doing wrong? I'm constantly looking at myself going, I'm the person, that's doing something wrong here. And even if I was being bullied or what have you, I'd go,
I blame myself too.
Why am I attracting this to me? What's going on? And really for me, yes, there were elements there, when we've spoken in our previous podcast about the cause and effect, that what you think about is what your environment is going to mirror to you. So if I'm in an environment that I don't want to be in, then lo and behold, I'm actually going to experience that I don't want to be in that environment. And if I also believe that I'm in an environment that is full of bullies, or if let's take a step back, I am actually bullying myself to force myself to stay in an environment that I don't want to be in, then that's exactly what I'm going to experience.
I'm bullying that's what I was doing. I was bullying myself and saying my narrative, my inner narrative. After working for myself for 15 years, I chose to go into the workforce out of fear because I thought, oh shit, I'd better get a stable job because I'm going through this divorce and my ex has trashed my organization. So, I'm going to go and work for myself. So go study, go get myself a stable job. And then I had to learn to squash myself and bully myself every day into being a smaller personality, into doing things the way they want you to. Because in workplaces, they want you to press that button and they want you to press it the way they want you to press it. They don't want you to go, oh, I can do it this way. No,
Yep.
just do what you're told. That doesn't work for me. So I was like examining myself constantly going, what the fuck is wrong with me? Why can't I fit in? Why are all these people fitting in? And actually, they're a bit dim, some of them. They're not real good at their job, but they're doing fine here because they don't want someone who's going to be a standout and who's going to work really hard and run the place like it's their own business because that's what you've always done. Step aside, I'll deal with that. No, 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 no. That's not what they want. So it took me a long time, 6 years, in fact, to go, well, you don't fit this. You actually don't fit this. You don't. Some people aren't meant to work in a job.
No.
It's just not meant to happen.
I also look at it and go, the amount of energy that it takes, like your own energy that it takes to control yourself and bully yourself into doing something that you really don't want to be doing, but you're doing it because you don't know any better.
Yeah.
Because you think that this is all that life has to offer you.
I've never been so exhausted in my life.
That takes so much more energy than to just step back, review, learn to tap into and understand who you really are and follow that guidance and then trust in yourself.
Yeah.
There's less energy in doing that.
That's just simple thing.
You actually get more energy when you start doing that than when you are forcing yourself. And it's the interesting thing is that, as you said, it drains you. It totally drains you. And then you come home and you're like, fuck, I'm exhausted.
Yeah, I've got nothing.
Or we go off and we do, we get right into exercise or things like that so we can de-stress from our days.
Drink wine. Get home and drink wine. That was a shit day.
Self-medicate, all those types of things just so we can de-stress from doing the things that we really don't want to be doing, but we feel stuck and we don't know how to get unstuck.
That's right. That's right.
And really there is
fear keeps you stuck. Fear keeps us stuck. Like you're saying, we don't know how to get unstuck. You've got to get around people who've done it and who can help, lift you up when you're doubting yourself, because you are going to go, if you want to make changes, I guarantee you're going to go through times where you're totally and utterly shitting yourself going, what the fuck have I done? Why am I doing this? Because that is a normal part of the process. I think what we often think is that we've got these weird mindsets around change. We often think, okay, if we're going to change, everything needs to be perfect and everything needs to be lined up to start. Number one, wrong. Nothing's ever perfect. If you want to give a go at something, do your best, but when you're ready, just go and do it, because there'll never be a perfect time to do anything. If you wait for the perfect time, you'll be dead. That's the number one thing. Exactly. Blunt. And the second thing is expect the journey to be hard. So what you're choosing is you're choosing the unknown over the comfort, because there is a level of comfort. Even if you hate something and you're miserable as shit, there's comfort there. It's the known. It's the unknown over the known. And a lot of people I hear that won't make change say, well, what if it's worse? Well, what if it is worse? You're not a tree. You can move. If it is worse, you can go, okay, well, try that.
Make another decision. Yeah.
Make another decision. Yes. Yeah. Even if you go forward and you go, that was the wrong direction, you're still going forward. You can choose to, go off down that way or go in that direction. You don't have to keep saying, well, I've put my feet on this path. I know I'm in the wrong direction. That's the key. Be adaptable and accept the pain of change. Why are we so afraid of change? Why are humans so naturally? Because change is one of the few things that is guaranteed in this life. If you're going really well, you can guarantee that there's something going to happen. There's going to be change. If you're going really badly, conversely, you can guarantee at some point you're going to turn a corner and things are going to change. And that's a guarantee. Life never stays the same. Even if you try to make it that way, it just doesn't. So I think the key is, and this is why personal growth is so important, is being able to ride those highs and lows, because you know that they're coming. You're going to make the best out of it, and you're going to make your life so good that the highs and lows, instead of being like this, they're a little bit more like that.
Yeah, exactly. And they get to a point where it's just a little bump as opposed to a massive boulder. And it really comes back to, it doesn't, even when you were saying that even if the path is wrong, and make a decision to change that path, I would actually say no path is actually wrong because there'll be a learning there.
Exactly.
There'll be
Exactly.
something that you can take away
Yep.
to help you on, and maybe that's why you had to go down that path,
Yeah.
was because you needed to either learn something or meet
100%.
someone, or
Yes.
a certain opportunity comes up, or
Yeah.
or anything, any of those things that you may needed to go down that path to experience that, so then you could
Exactly.
divert to the other one.
I
And
needed to fail because look what if you get people go,
yeah,
I failed. I'm like, what did you learn about yourself?
yeah.
Awesome.
We all have a wall of can't. And
Mm.
these are really your limiting beliefs. They are the only thing preventing you from living the life that you absolutely love.
Yeah, absolutely. Blame kills productivity because making decisions and getting things done is the absolute antithesis of being a victim.
It certainly is. And we all want to move past that victim mindset. What is the single negative story that you actually keep telling yourself about over and over again?
Yeah. And I mean, it is a lie. It's a complete lie. Like you can believe that you'll never change a certain aspect of yourself. The good news is that if you don't know where to start, turn inward. If you want to do the work, unbelievable results will follow.
Here at the Art of Beautiful Thinking, we've actually created a workbook called Your Authentic Life Blueprint.
Mm.
I pretty much created this based on all of the tools that have assisted me to level up from growing up in a domestic violence environment. I've condensed these tools into a workbook that actually guides you to understanding you and to bring joy into your life and to live life from that place. What we will also do is guide you in creating your new belief by unlocking your limiting beliefs, identifying your self-sabotaging habits, and understanding your values and strengths so you can increase your self-confidence.
Mm.
We also assist you to define your unique purpose, and you get to set goals based on that and then break those down from huge tasks into smaller, powerful steps so you
Yep.
can do something every single day towards living a life that is uniquely yours.
Yeah, you build it brick by brick. It's completely doable. It goes from being overwhelming and huge and where do I start to here's your map. The only way to not achieve these results is by giving it zero effort. That's maths.
So if you're ready to make a deep structural shift in your mindset and create that lasting change that you're actually looking for, stop doing the inner work alone, because we all need a guide from time to
Yep.
time. So come and join our community of like-minded people.
Yeah, absolutely. Doing it alone is just so hard. The Authentic Life Blueprint Workbook is actually your comprehensive 12-week roadmap. And you can use it as a powerful self-study, or you can have it as a foundation for our entire coaching program. It's up to you. You can use as much or as little as you want. You don't have to lock into great big long things. You can just choose how it works for you, because we understand that's what people want to do. Before I did the workbook, I'd done decades of work with clinical psychologists, trauma counselors, self-growth in other areas, different ways. I'd done it all because I was also like you, Eva. I had a shitty upbringing, very traumatic. It has been a massive journey, but this 12-week roadmap that I took, I just could not believe the jumps forward that I made. It was incredible.
They're very simple processes, but the results are lasting.
Huge.
So click on the link below and grab your workbook today, because you want your transformation to start right now.
Yeah, don't waste any more time being miserable or suffering. It's not worth it. It works for me. How am I going to make that work for me? Because this is what self-aware people do. They don't go, oh, I'm going to sit here and cry and wallow now and go, oh, my life's fucked. They go, okay, that was shit. How am I going to pick up the pieces? What am I going to take away from that? Oh, okay. What I've learned is about myself is I don't fit in that environment, or those kinds of people and I, over time, they're not my tribe.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting how, like, I've heard of an acronym for FAIL, and which is first attempting learning.
Oh, that's brilliant. I love it.
Yeah. It's a really cool
I love me an old acronym.
Yeah.
Awesome.
First attempt in learning. That's what FAIL is. It's not nothing else than that, except it's just something that you're learning, and then you learn and you move on and you do the next thing. You don't
you think
allow it to stop you in your tracks.
And that's what we do.
I'm never going to do this again. I kind of look at it and go, it's like going to a Chinese restaurant and you've experienced really bad food. And then you look at it and you go, I'm never going to eat Chinese ever again, when it's actually just that particular restaurant.
You just ordered the chicken feet.
It doesn't mean all Chinese food is really bad.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's the same sort of thing. It's like you just happen to have an experience here that you didn't quite like. It doesn't mean that everything else you're going to ever do is going to have the same outcome. It's just so silly to box yourself in that. And it's not helpful. It doesn't serve you in any way, shape, or form. Does
Well, it's
not
actually a
serve you.
cognitive distortion. It's one of those habits of stinking thinking that you and I have been looking at.
Yeah,
It's all or nothing thinking,
yeah.
which you basically say, yeah, I'm just wiping out all Chinese restaurants. They're all no good. Blech. How
Yeah,
stupid.
that's it.
Missing out on sticky chicken for the rest of your life. It's crazy.
I like my beef and black bean too much to actually avoid
Yummy, yum.
Chinese altogether. Yeah.
Making me hungry. Uh, but yeah, no, I actually love that acronym. And I think it's really interesting because well, we've both just been to New Zealand recently. And I think one of the wonderful things about traveling overseas is it absolutely takes you out of the little box that you live in, because you really do. You don't realize until you go overseas that people all over the world perceive all of their environment and different things around them completely differently to us.
Hmm.
So, it's like I lived in Japan for a while. They are not big on failure, but they will humbly accept their failure and then move on from it. And they see it totally differently. Whereas in Western culture in Australia, we're like, well, I can't fail. I can't be seen to be failing.
Yeah, well, it's almost like a perfectionist stuff that we always have to be seen
Yeah.
being perfect. And,
Yeah.
like if I fail, that means I'm never going to be anything in life. And we
Yeah.
can't take that risk when
Yeah.
you've got the opposite in America, for instance, who have always had a very entrepreneurial mindset.
True.
And they've always been about just get out there and do it. I mean, to the point of walking over other people.
Yeah.
But, you don't want to do that. However, they still have that attitude of just get out there and do it,
Give
do
it a
it,
go.
do it, do it. The
Mhm.
just do it Nike,
Yeah.
logo. It's
Yep.
that's their attitude. It's very
Mm.
different to the Australian attitude, which is a lot more laid back and don't try to be
Don't
too
rock
big
the
for
boat.
yourself, all that type
Yeah.
of thing.
Don't be a big
So
no-no.
each country is different. I think Australia's
Mm.
starting to change.
Mm.
That's a very definitely was an attitude when I was younger, etc. But I think it is starting to change. It's starting to mature in that
Probably not
space.
in Tasmania. Maybe in
Yeah,
another 50 years.
who knows? I mean, Tasmania's almost like its own country, isn't it?
It
It's
is.
but you are right when you talk about travel. Travel broadens the mind. It
Yeah.
opens your mind up to see how different cultures actually live, how they
Mm.
see and view
Yep.
the world, and also what they do.
Yeah.
Like in Europe, they're big on appreciating life.
Yeah.
Especially in Western Europe, like in
Mhm.
France and Spain and Italy and places like that. They
Mm.
really respect and love life.
Yeah.
And so for them, even though they work,
Yeah.
it's also about taking time out to appreciate
Mm.
life.
They have that
And
natural work-life
we
balance, don't they?
don't do that in Australia. I think in Australia we've taken on the UK and the American standard of just work, 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 work,
Workaholism. Mm.
rather than if all you're doing is working, when do you get the opportunity to actually appreciate life?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. That's one of the things that we had our holiday. We took 3 weeks, which is a long holiday for us. And after about 10 days, my husband, Joe, looked at me and said, "Oh my God, I've actually had the opportunity to take a step back. My nose was so close to the grindstone. All I did was look at work, work, work. I've taken a step back." And it gives you that chance to process. You don't have to go on a fancy overseas holiday. Just take that step back, whatever it takes to get that space, to give you that mental space to go, hang on, so that you're not emotionally all meshed in with it. You can take a step back and look at the bigger picture, because that's
Yeah,
something that we don't always do. A lot of people are
yeah,
very, we're taught from a young age, like, look at the small picture, look at what's in front of you and focus on that, which is really good to do. You've got to have that skill, but having the skill of the macro view, coming at it from a bird's eye view, you have a look at it and you go, okay, actually, in the grand scheme of things, I'm doing pretty well. And I
yeah,
could take a little risk on this and that.
yeah,
And that would make me feel a lot better. Yeah. So it's, yeah. And look, we're all guilty of it. I know when we were over in New Zealand, we were driving along in the car, I remember this, and you guys were in the back and I was in the front and Joe was driving. And I was talking about taking up a hobby of pottery. Been thinking about that for a long time. I'd like to give it a go. But then I said, oh, but I think it would probably be quite hard. I think I'd have to develop a skill. I'd have to be quite patient and really learn. I'd probably fuck it up a lot before I got any decent pieces out of it. And Yvette's husband, your husband, Jeff, went, well, what do you expect when you try something new? Of course you're going to fuck up a lot. It's part of the learning. And I went, Yeah, all right. Thanks for explaining that to me, Jeff. Yeah, okay.
Thanks for being so in my face.
Thanks for being so blunt. Brother from another mother, it's
But
all fine.
that's exactly what it is. Like you have to expect that you're not going to be perfect off the bat.
Yep,
You are learning,
yep,
especially when you're going down a new path. You're learning, so you've
yep,
got to give yourself that freedom to learn. You've got to give yourself that opportunity to also learn, because when you put too much pressure on yourself,
yeah,
you're actually stopping yourself and preventing yourself from learning.
that's right.
Um,
Yep.
I mean, I remember, like, Elon Musk is not one of my most favorite people in the world.
No.
However, there was something that he said on, I think it was a podcast, and or an interview. I can't remember what it was. And he was saying, look, most of the stuff that I do, I have not been an expert in. I've picked up the books, I've learnt, and then I've been able to have the conversations with the people who are the experts. So
Yeah,
I can actually have a proper conversation with them. But he
yeah,
says it's all about picking up the books. It's all about educating yourself so you can then have the right
yeah,
conversation.
yeah,
And that really is, when you talk about personal growth, that's what personal growth is about.
yep,
Constantly growing and learning new things,
yeah,
whether it's new things about you, whether it's a new skill, whether it's, wanting to go down a new path in life, whether
yep.
it's like when you go to yoga. If you're starting off with yoga or any new exercise, you don't expect to go in there being, amazing straight off the bat. You know that you've got to work on it, work on the techniques, work on the movements, and you'll get better and better and
Oh,
better.
work
And
on
it's the same
holding in your
thing with
farts
us
at the
in our
inappropriate
everyday life.
moment. Quite honestly.
What was that?
Sorry. I said work on holding in your farts so that you don't let them rip at the inappropriate moment, because let's be honest, that's what yoga does, doesn't it? I'm gonna say it. I'm saying it. I'm owning it. I don't care. But yes, absolutely. Like, and we do. I think we expect to, we're so worried about what other people think, right?
Oh, and that's the big thing. So we are putting that expectation on others
Yeah.
and really looking at it and going, what are other people going to think of me? What is this? What is that? Well, what about what you think of you?
Yeah.
Like you're really valuing another person's opinion over
No.
your own opinion.
It's a nightmare, isn't it?
And it's just it and the whole reason why we do that is because when you're looking externally, it's because you don't trust or like who you are.
That's right.
And so you're
Yep.
constantly trying to get other people's approval
Yep.
or recognition to
Yep.
say that you're good or to say that you're this or that, rather than recognizing it within yourself,
Yeah.
that you are amazing, that you are here to create, that you are here to experience, and you are here to be the best version of yourself.
Absolutely.
So step up,
Unapologetically.
you
Mm.
know?
Mm.
And
Yeah. Step
I
into
know,
your own
like,
power.
if I look at my own, discovery of all of this, one of the things for me was that I got to a point that my tolerance for what I was doing and the pain that that was creating was so intense that I
Yeah.
went, I've got nothing to lose by going over here and starting something else.
That was going to be my next point that I was going to say to you. If you're at that stage where inside is screaming, we need to make a change, we need to make a change, but you're allowing the fear of making that change to keep you stuck and stagnated in that spot, yes. What's the next step? The pain of being stuck there is by far worse than the pain of actually just stepping out and
Getting out
giving
there
it a
and doing
go.
it. Like, you
Yeah.
think of the fear and the doing and you go, oh, that scares me and that's a little bit, and I'm not going to do it. But
Yep.
when the pain in the now is more than the fear of the doing,
Yeah.
you'll just do it.
Just do it. It's
But you,
crazy.
but by no means am I recommending to people to get to that point.
Oh God,
If you
no.
can
No, no,
avoid
no, no,
that,
no.
that'd be a really good thing.
I think a lot of people are at that point, but they
Yeah,
don't realize that they're there. They're like the frog, that was in the cold water in the pan that slowly heats up,
yeah, yeah,
and didn't realize that they're now in boiling water and they're dying.
yeah.
You got to jump out.
Well, yeah. I mean, you think about it. What happens when you are constantly in that pain and you still aren't listening to it, and you're
Yeah.
still in that pain all the time? Then all of a
Yep.
sudden, the body starts experiencing a shit
Immune
ton of
system
pain.
issues. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And just the mental anguish that you feel
Oh,
forcing yourself in,
yeah.
like, oh, it's and
Anxiety attacks, all
yeah.
those types of things.
Oh, look,
It's
I've been there, same as
yeah,
you. Force myself, I've got to comply. I've got to be. I can do these jobs. I mean, I'm smart. I can do it. I can do it. Will I get any joy out of being a part of that system that doesn't work? No.
mm, exactly right. So I think I look at it and I go, there is so much out there. there are so many tools.
Yep.
There are so many books.
Yep.
There's so much, like even self-paced courses. There's so many things available to
Oh,
the everyday person that
let me
they can just
throw
take a small step
yeah.
in making a change.
Let me throw up some of the common fear statements I hear, and you can knock them down. So,
Okay.
but because there's so much out there, why would anyone want to look at my stuff?
Because you're unique and you have a different message.
Yep. But I mean, the market's fully crowded. There's only a limited amount of space at the top.
Oh, really? So the bread market's also fully crowded, yet you also get new bakers all the time, don't you?
When people say there's only a limited amount of space at the top, what does that make you think?
What does that make me think? That makes me think that they're ignorant.
Yeah. What is
Because
the truth? What is
there's
the
a
real
ton of
truth?
space at the top. It's
Yeah.
just that not everybody has decided to take the steps forward there. And what do you perceive as being the top? That's the other thing. So what is your perception of success?
Yep. Yep.
Because
Because for someone,
everyone's idea of success is different. And it's about
yeah,
actually following your ideals of success, not somebody else's ideals of success. Whenever you try to follow someone else's ideals of success, you will fail.
yeah, absolutely,
You got to
absolutely.
find your own ideals. So
Yep.
take out of whatever you're learning or reading or the courses that you're doing and find the truth that's in it for you and
Hmm.
then implement that truth.
Yep. What about the person that says, look, it's just as bad everywhere? There's no point trying to go anywhere or do anything different. Or this is an interesting one. When I was going to divorce my first husband, because I had for a really long time considered it very carefully, I'd used every tool in my considerable toolbox and gotten to the point where I was like, this is an unsalvageable relationship. We need to part ways. I said to a friend, and she was also miserable in her marriage. I said, look, I'm going to move on. And she said, why? I said, I'm going to do it. I'm going to divorce him. She said, why would you bother? I went, what? She said, why would you do that? And I said, because I'm desperately unhappy, and, told her what was going on. She said, yeah, but everyone who's married is. It's not any better anywhere else. Now, I thought that was a load of crap, but there's a lot of people out there apparently that have that view. A lot of
Yeah.
people, that's an argument they use for staying put in whatever they're in, job, marriage, whatever, friendships, social groups, whatever. There's nothing out there any better.
Yeah. So that's a belief system that's actually not serving you.
Yeah.
But if you honestly believe that that's the case, then that's going to be your experience.
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
you want to change that outcome, then you need to change that belief. It all starts with your thoughts.
Because that's a really, really cool way to sabotage yourself, to think like that and tap into your fear. Because then I guess the payoff, because there's always a payoff, isn't there, from
But
this
they
fear
are living in
thinking?
their fear because they're using that as an excuse not to actually move forward. That's all it is. It's an
Exactly.
excuse. Yeah.
Exactly. And then that gives them the excuse to just sit there in their miserable comfort zones. There are such things as miserable comfort zones, aren't there?
Oh, yeah. Most comfort zones are miserable.
Yes. 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 I'll sit here and stagnate. Yay.
Did you have any more that you wanted to fire off at me, or was that it?
No, I'm just thinking of some of the ones I've heard in the last and from close friends and family. So when I was starting my original business years ago, well, why would you try that? You don't know anything about mining. And I'm using my ex-husband's aunt's voice. You don't know anything about mining. You're a
Yeah, well,
lady.
you can learn, can't you? So
I
how do
was like, yeah,
miners become miners? They learn. So
exactly, exactly.
you just learn. It's a new skill.
It's a new
Yeah,
skill. Exactly right. Yeah, no,
yeah.
I'll stop firing those at you now. No, I've just heard so many of them over the years, and these are all really common things that
Yeah,
people come out with and say to
but
defend their
they're all
position.
just either a mechanism to pull the other person down and go, stay in this space,
Yeah.
or it's an excuse not to actually move forward
Yep.
because they themselves are too fearful. Yeah.
Mm.
And literally all of it, every single thing that you've said, all comes back to belief systems.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
those belief systems are not serving you
No,
in any way. So change the belief.
that's it.
And usually you'll find that people who have become successful in life, that's exactly what they've done.
Yeah.
They've got a certain belief that they are going to be successful
Yeah. They
and
don't think the
they
same
expect
way.
it,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
do they go, some of them may not do personal growth, but they have the belief. So
Mm.
if you don't have that belief, then you need to start nurturing that belief. You need to start creating that belief. And
Mm.
that means getting rid of all of those old negative self-talk and replacing it with more conducive self-talk that's going to help you
Yeah.
achieve the things in life that you want to achieve. That
Yeah.
you believe that you are here to actually experience and to
Mm.
give back.
Yep. Yep. And that's the thing. I think I think one of the things I've noticed is that when you're doing something that's not your purpose, it actually is easier to feel fear, and there's a lot less inspiration, there's a lot less joy, there's a lot less reason to show up because you're not living your purpose. Once you start doing something that is your purpose, it's like a little seed that you
Yeah,
germinate, and
it is.
it grows, and all the energy you put into it, you get back out of it. You know, I used to feel like roles where I was having to pour myself into roles, but I would just be drained. I'd get nothing out of it back at the end of the day. Or if I had wins, like with people that I was assisting, I'd have management knock me down and go,
Yeah,
or or minimize what I'd done and take the joy out of what I was doing. And then I kind of went, yeah, I'm not in the right space here. So those are
yeah,
good indications. Relationships, friendships. How does your body feel? This is another really good thing that someone asked me once, or a really smart chickie said to me, imagine yourself, and we use this a lot in probation parole, imagine yourself in 5 years' time and you're doing the exact same thing that you do every day now. And we'd use this a lot with people that were using, substance abuse. Every day you wake up, this is what your day looks like. And in 5 years, imagine that in 5 years' time, you're going to be in exactly the same place, living in exactly the same house, with exactly the same people, doing the exact same thing every day in your daily routine. How does that make you feel? And it would be really interesting how many times you would just see their face just because, I mean, this is talking to people that are really in denial, and you just
yeah.
see them go and their face just drop, and their stomach, they'd say, my stomach just dropped out of me. Now, if you're getting
Mm,
that feeling because you're looking at your life and how it's going, and you're imagining your life being the same in 5 years' time, you need to do some questioning, some deep questioning. You need to really sit and ask yourself, why am I feeling like that? That's a
absolutely.
really good way to start your journey if you're not sure. It's a good
It
little
is.
exercise to do. Mm,
It
mm.
is. Oh my gosh, I could keep talking about this subject. It's
I
just,
know.
yeah,
It's
there's
yeah,
so much to it. But yeah, that's a really good one to start on with because it does go back to where do you see yourself in 5 years' time?
yeah.
And if you keep doing what you're doing today, not bringing in any new change, where will you be in 5 years? You'll pretty much be in the same position you're in today.
How does that
And
make you
do you
feel in
want
your
that?
body?
Is that what you
Mm,
want for your life?
I mean, if you think that and go, I'm really excited for the future and it's going to be awesome, great.
Yeah,
Then you're in the right place.
yeah,
But if it makes you like, and that's one thing to tune into your body. If it makes your stomach drop out, if it makes
yeah,
your throat go
exactly. If you go,
dry,
ah, yeah,
oh my God, then
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
got to
I
ask
know
the
for
question.
me, it was the conversation I had, like the thing that really pushed me, as I said, was that my tolerance for things had just gone, and the pain of what I was doing was outweighed the fear.
Yeah,
But the other thing was, as I'm getting older, you think more about, well, where do I want my next 20, 30 years to look like? What do
yeah,
I want that to look like?
yeah,
And I
yeah,
don't want to get to a point where, because also with the corporate world gets to a point for as you get older, it's no longer really viable for you that much unless you're in senior roles.
mm,
Um, and I don't want to just retire
no,
and do nothing. I want to
no,
keep
no,
doing things. And I was
yeah,
like, but I don't want to get to be on my deathbed ultimately, looking back and going, regretting not
yeah,
doing this thing that has been pulling at me
yeah,
for most of my life.
yeah, 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 or at least giving it a red hot go.
Yeah,
That's right.
exactly right. And going,
Mm,
I really gave it my 100%.
mm.
And I
Yeah,
know that I did, and I can be proud of that.
yeah, absolutely,
So that was the other
absolutely.
thing. And I think when you're younger, you don't necessarily look at that. You don't necessarily thinking of,
No
you know,
time.
gosh, what will life look like when I'm on my deathbed? But I assure you, have a think about it because you don't know. You don't know when your D-Day is going to happen.
You've got no idea.
How
And I
many
think as you get older, you become more aware.
you
Like I
do.
look at it and I go, shit, I'm 51.
Yeah.
You know, How much time have I got left? Where am I going to live? What am I going to do?
Yeah.
How's this going to look?
But
Am I actually happy?
none of us really know how much time we have, whether we are younger or older. And we do have a tendency when we're younger to think that we're going to live till we're over 100. And if you've had a really great life, you probably will. But you just never know. I mean, my sister died when she was 21. You don't know
You don't know.
when your life is going to end.
No.
And so look at it and go, if it was to end tomorrow, would you have any regrets?
Yep.
What would
What is it that
you
you wanna
be
do?
enjoy about?
Yep.
Yeah. What would you be really proud about? But also, would you have any regrets? And if so, start working on those today.
Yeah. Get your
Make a
bucket list
change.
together. Even if it seems completely outrageous, at least, entertain it.
Yeah.
So it might not mean that you're going to become a number one chart topping singer at the age of 51. Sincerely doubt it. Can sing in the shower.
You may do.
That's
You
all
may
I've
do.
got.
There are people out there that have become, like,
I
don't think age really is relevant. It's only society that puts a restriction on age, and age really is irrelevant.
I mean, you'd have to absolutely go hard at it. I look at that and think, well, I've got children, I've got a husband, I wouldn't have the capacity, even if I had the talent, to go after a career like that. That wouldn't suit me. Someone else might find that fine. But yeah.
But again, when you're in alignment with what you need to do, things will fall into place.
Well, that's the thing. That's the thing. So yeah, but make your goal also something that is, realistic to your capacity and what you're willing to put the effort in to do as well. Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely.
All right.
So
yeah,
that was really cool. I like that conversation. I do enjoy our conversations. They're pretty cool.
I do.
So, folks, if you're actually enjoying our conversations as much as we are, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, because it's the only way that we can really get the message out there. There's a lot going on in the world today of creating fear in people.
Yeah.
And, we're all about unraveling that and wanting you to live in a place of joy and creating a community that's based on that. So we would love you to subscribe and be a part of our community, or even provide us with comments to how you found the actual episode, any suggestions for future topics or things like that, or even what really, if you've actually implemented anything that we've been talking about and what outcomes you've been achieving from that. That'd be really, really cool as well.
That would be good to hear, actually, because I know that Tammy is now kicking ass. She's been watching our podcast. I'm not saying that it's us, but I am saying that we did give her a little bit of inspiration. I know that much.
Well, that's great. That's cool. So with that in mind, remember to think beautifully and live brilliantly, and we will speak to you next time. Ciao.
Bye.
We'd like to say a huge thank you to our incredible audience for your continued support. Our mission is to ignite your spark, empowering you to be a beacon of light for others. We'd love to hear from you. So if you've got any questions that you would like answered in future episodes, or just want to share some insights, connect with us on our Facebook community page. If you're looking for additional resources, go to our website. You'll find the link below. And remember, the absolute best way to help us grow is to share this episode with your friends and family, and to subscribe to the Art of Beautiful Thinking podcast. So until next time, think beautifully and live brilliantly.